It's the late 1940s. The world is coming out of a war, but in a quiet New England courtroom, a very different battle is unfolding. Sitting in the defendant's chair is a man named Andy Dufresne, a well-dressed, well-spoken banker who has just been handed a life sentence for the murder of his wife and her lover. Andy insists he's innocent, but the evidence against him is stacked like bricks in a wall. In the eyes of the court, the case is closed. And so, with the sound of a gavel, Andy's life as he knows it ends. A short bus ride later, he finds himself at the gates of Shawshank State Penitentiary, a place that will test his body, mind, and soul. The prison looms like a fortress from another era, cold stone walls, high fences topped with barbed wire, and watchtowers that never blink. It's the kind of place that doesn't just keep people in, it swallows them whole. Inside Shawshank, Andy's quiet demeanor sets him apart from the other new inmates, most of whom shout, swear, or break down in tears. Andy walks in with his head held high, not arrogant, just calm. This composure catches the eye of Ellis Redding, or Red for short, a longtime inmate known as the man who can get things. Red narrates Andy's early days, watching from a distance. Shawshank has a rhythm, a daily grind that wears people down. Roll call, work assignments, meals in the mess hall, lights out. Andy doesn't protest, doesn't cause trouble, and doesn't bend easily to intimidation. But that doesn't mean life is easy for him. The early years are harsh. Andy faces dangers in the yard and in the cell block, things that could break a weaker man. But he adapts in his own quiet way, keeping his mind busy and his dignity intact. Over time, Andy approaches Red with a strange request. Not for a weapon, not for contraband, but for something small and harmless. This sparks Red's curiosity. Why would a banker want something so unusual? Red agrees, partly out of intrigue, and a small thread of trust begins to form between the two men. As months turn into years, Red observes Andy's peculiar habits, how he walks with purpose, how he seems to be working on something in his mind even when he's just sitting in the yard. One day, during a work detail on the roof, Andy overhears a guard talking about a financial problem. It's the kind of problem Andy can solve in his sleep. In a single moment, he seizes an opportunity, not for escape, but for survival. By helping the guard, Andy gains a level of protection and respect that most inmates never achieve. Word spreads, and soon the prison staff realize this quiet banker can navigate the complex world of taxes, investments, and accounting. Andy becomes a valuable asset, managing finances, doing paperwork, even handling the warden's private affairs. It's a dangerous position, because in Shawshank, power is a double-edged sword. Andy's next project is something that seems, at first, almost trivial: the prison library. It's small, outdated, and barely used. But Andy has a vision: to turn it into a place where inmates can educate themselves, find a sense of purpose, maybe even a little hope. He starts writing letters to the state government, asking for funding and supplies. Week after week, month after month, the letters go out. And eventually, persistence pays off. Shipments of books, records, and materials arrive. Shawshank's library grows, becoming one of the best in the state. Inmates who once spent their days staring at the walls now spend them reading, studying, or earning diplomas. Andy doesn't preach. He just builds the tools and lets people use them. Brooks and the reality of institutionalization. One of the most poignant figures in Shawshank is Brooks Hatlin, the elderly prison librarian. He's been inside for decades, long enough that the outside world feels more frightening than the prison itself. When Brooks is released on parole, the adjustment is heartbreaking. The world has changed, and the freedom he once dreamed about now feels like an endless void. Through Brooks, the film explores the concept of institutionalization, how prison can reshape a person's mind until they can't imagine life beyond the walls. Andy sees this and takes it to heart. He knows that hope is the only antidote to despair. Years later, a young inmate named Tommy arrives at Shawshank, a cocky, street-smart guy with a quick wit. He's rough around the edges, but Andy takes him under his wing, helping him study for his high school equivalency. Tommy, in turn, brings a jolt of energy to the prison. But more importantly, his arrival sets off a chain of events that will shift the balance of Andy's life. Through a conversation one night, Tommy shares a story from his past that raises disturbing questions about Andy's conviction.